So today we are going to talk about all the books that I read in January and the books that I plan to read in February. I meant to have this out closer to the beginning or closer to the end of the month, but it didn't work out. I finished 5 books this month. DNF2 had to push one off into February, so different month. Oh, and I added 2 spontaneously. Different month than I had anticipated, but I did really enjoy what I read. So we're gonna start with the first book that I finished this month, and that is The Thursday Murder Club. Actually, I don't know if this is the first book I finished this month, and I don't have the spreadsheet in front of me, so I'm sorry, Lynn. Anyway, The Thursday Murder Club is a murder mystery, satirical. We start off, maybe not satirical, but fun. We start off in a nursing home or an assisted living home with a group of old people that, as they put it, don't particularly like each other necessarily, except for one character that everybody loves. They don't necessarily like each other, but you know, they get together for these little gatherings and attempt to solve mysteries, and then they have a real one. There's a real murder that happens, and they want to track it down and they want to figure it out. And oh, the chaos. This actually reminded me a lot of Bachman in his style because his humor is very similar to this in how, I don't want to say chaotic he makes his characters, but that also seems right. The way they bounce off of each other and have the most ridiculous and hilarious musings while still being so anchored in like feeling like really real humans. I think Bachman is really good at giving you one line, maybe 2, that perfectly identify for you who this character is. You don't need a lot of time to get to know a character before you know them on a deeper level than sometimes you know a character going through an entire book with them. That kind of understanding of personhood, understanding of humanity that Bachman has is very unique. And I won't credit this book to being like Bachman levels of it, but I do think that this book has that unique trait of anchoring us to these characters, showing us exactly who they are, and then making us run with them. It was a blast. I gave it 3.5 stars. Murder mysteries aren't really my thing. It was also, a friend of mine pointed out, Lynn, again, the one that keeps my spreadsheet, pointed out that the murder mysteries that I do like, I usually like because they're in fantastical settings and they're doing a lot more than just the mystery. And so she was afraid that I would get bored with this. And I wouldn't say I got bored, but I would say that it wasn't totally my taste. And I did get a little bit bored by the end because like when we were doing like all the red herrings and in the interviews and is it this person? No, it's not that person. Okay, is it this person? Is it that person? I did get tired of it. But I think it's an excellently written book, and if any of this sounds like something that you would enjoy, you should try it. I think it's a me problem, honestly, not the book problem. Okay, next up, wow, 3 of the books that I read this month got a dedicated review. How is that possible? I don't feel like I upload enough for that to be true. Well, it is. Okay, so we'll start with The Bedlam Bride, the most recent Carl book. Now, the rating on this is low. I mean, I don't think a 2.5 is the end of the world. It's like 3 is like solid, and then 2.5 is like just below that. This was my least favorite book of the series so far. It was just a weird dichotomy of like the emotional beats, the things that make Carl really special, not just the gimmicks, not just the gags, not just the jokes, but like what makes Carl something that I keep coming back to, and that's the emotional depth that we get out of these characters. That was all still there. It's just that I didn't care for the setting of this floor or the execution of that setting, rather. Some of the side characters I did not feel were very well developed or fleshed out, and I'm supposed to be caring about a lot of them, and I don't. And some of the gimmicks and some of the gags were just like not funny to me. I am going to continue on to book 7, and I would like to say big shout out to Carl fans, because usually when I put out a dedicated video where I am offering more critiques, you know, like when I'm trying to be balanced and it's not just a gush, a lot of times people are feral in the comments, and the Carl fandom, even though this was my least favorite of the bunch and I had some strong critiques, the comment section was delightful. So shout out to y'all. You're the reason why I'm moving on to book 7. I also gave a dedicated spoiler-filled review to Dresden, the most recent book that came out. I think it's 16. As soon as this was released, I was on it. I think I read it in maybe 3 days, but I have a friend that read it in 1. It's Lynn again. Lynn is a big part of my life. Anyway, really enjoyed this installation. I think it was absolutely needed after the recent events that we've had. This was very much a human introspective story. It was about dealing with what's happened and all that comes with it. I think that Butcher really shines in his characters and in his emotions, kind of similar to what I said about Carl, but different, very different. In his grappling with humanity and all that comes with that. And this was a book dedicated to that, so it was very good. Probably a little bit longer than it needed to be. Also had some things that I didn't love about it, but overall, it was a great Dresden book. And then finally, I had 2 Star Wars books to read this month. I think I planned on one of them at least. Maybe I'm wrong. But I read the novelization of episode 1 of Star Wars, did a dedicated video for that. And I also read Master and Apprentice. So this is a prequel book to the prequels following Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan when they're relatively new as Master and Apprentice. They've had some time together, but they're still very not meshing well together. And so it's their story as they're trying to figure out how to work well together, really genuinely care about each other and value one another and want to stay as Master and Apprentice, but wondering, can we make this work? But we also have several new additions to the cast, and the new additions, I went in for Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, but the new additions, I might have loved more. First of all, I'm not really a romance girly, not very many, it's just not my thing, it's not what I care to read about. This book had a coupling that I absolutely rooted for and loved reading about. Their dynamic was adorable, but also them as individuals, fascinating characters. Their individual struggles and arcs and what they went through in this book and what they fought for, loved. And then there was another character that was, it's not spoilers, that was also an apprentice for Dooku that we got to spend some time with. Loved him as well. I thought the ending was a little bit messy, a little bit rushed, but I loved my time with this book. Okay, so quickly, here's a quick look at the TBR. This month I have half and half nonfiction and fiction, and that's because one of my nonfiction from last month, I DNF'd. Sadly, it was the Deep Sea book. It was just very dry, and she would talk in detail about things that I was like, now I just want to look it up. Like, now I just want to do my own research, because an audiobook just was not the way to explore the deep ocean. And then one of the nonfictions I pushed into February. So we'll start talking about the nonfictions for this month. We have Midnight Furies. This is about the liberation of India and birth of Pakistan. This is the Patreon pick of the month for the server as a whole. Then we have We Wish to Inform You That Tomorrow We Will Be Killed with Our Families. This is about the Rwandan genocide. And The Devil Reached Toward the Sky, which is the one that got pushed from January to February. This is about the atomic bomb, specifically from the journals and testimonies of the engineers and scientists that developed it. I'm already through part 1 and it's phenomenal already. Not just into the technical things, which it is, but also talking about like the morality that they faced, or that they came up against when they made this discovery and pursued. Fascinating. It will also continue on into the bombing and then the testimonies of the survivors. For fiction, on a lighter note, we have The Buried Giant by Ishiguro. I'm reading this with Joanna and David. Post-Arthurian Britain, a strange mist has caused mass amnesia throughout the land, and they can scarcely remember anything about our main character. There's a warrior, there's an orphan, and a knight. Honestly, none of this sounds interesting to me. Boy. And I think I said Arthurian instead of Arthurian. Anyway, this does not sound like something I would like at all. But I do like Ishiguro for the most part. I mean, like, even his books that are weaker to me, I love his ideas and I love the way he writes and the way he causes the reader to think, and I really love the discussions that come from these buddy reads, so I'm sure I'll enjoy reading it, but boy, this doesn't sound like my taste. This was Joanna's pick for our Ishiguro, read through. So if I hate it and I hurt your feelings, it is her fault. Next we have The Love Hypothesis. This is the Haters Book Club Patreon pick. This is a book club that we have where they choose a book for me to read that they anticipate that I'll hate. We all read it together. We have a live stream. We discuss. It's chaos. There's a bonus video. Last month's Haters Book Club was The Fifth Sorceress. We all DNF'd it except for one person, and now we all have to pay her therapy bills or something. I'm not sure. There's even a no DNF rule in the Haters Book Club for me, not for the participants, but for me. But they all begged me to quit the book because it was so bad. I might need therapy too, and I didn't see. Anyway, The Love Hypothesis is for February, which is fitting, you know, the month of love. Maybe I can love something. And then we have Star Wars, the novelization of Episode 2. I'm continuing on reading through the novelizations, as well as, you know, there's still a lot I really, really want to get to. Darth Pelagius as well as Darth Bane books. I'm still on my Star Wars kick. I'm having a great time. Anyway, those are all the books that I read in January and all the books that I plan to read in February. If you plan on picking any of them up and discussing them with me, I would love to chat with you about them. So please let me know if you plan on doing that, or if you've read any of the books that I read in January and you want to talk about them in the comment section. Please do. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. I'll see you again soon. Bye.